Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Ant-Man channel. It is Tuesday, the 4th of August, 2015, and I'm your host, Ant-Man. Got an article in front of me from ChristianPost.com under the column Politics. This was published around, yesterday at 9:30 a.m. It is by Anugrah Kumar, Christian Post contributor, and this particular article is entitled, or headlined, Ben Carson asked gotcha question, does the Bible have authority over the Constitution? I recommended a book not too long ago called Law versus the Constitution, the U.S. Constitution, the Bible versus the U.S. Constitution. Ted R. Weiland, I think, is the name of the author. I read it. It was a very interesting book. It goes very far back to Puritans and people that came here on the Mayflower writing the first Constitution and whatnot, and how the Founding Fathers changed all that. But it's a really interesting book just to kind of peer into it and see like the differences. The actual differences are really clear. In ancient Israel, the government was ran by God Almighty Himself. That's why the law was followed to the T. Now, God was doing some kind of redemptive history, some kind of redemptive work in history at that time. A lot of people might give us Christians a lot of heat because, we won't kill you for it. That's why I think people feel like really brave about talking badly to us. But they'll try to say that Leviticus and all the Old Testament books, that our God's not a good God because He tells people to kill people. Well, no, actually you're taking it out of context. We are not living. We're not Jews and we don't follow the law, and we don't. You know what I mean? We're not trying to obey and follow the law, really. That's not what we're really trying to do here. A lot of things have changed now. And the God of the Old Testament is still the God of today. Just He does things differently. The spirit that was in our founding fathers that did found, this country, they did build on the foundation that you get from Judeo-Christianity and that worldview. So, you can't change history, nana boo-boo, okay? You have to face it. You know what I mean? God He didn't found this country on like how He did ancient Israel, but He by His Spirit led people to do that. There is a difference. You know what I mean? And the fact of the matter is, you just got to be, I don't know, you just got to look into it a little more, or you're just being lazy on trying to understand these issues. So the thumbnail is, Republican presidential candidate Dr. Ben Carson smiles as he talks to reporters about speaking at the Women's Betrayed rally to defund Planned Parenthood at Capitol Hill in Washington, July 28, 2015. Let's get into this, yeah? Does the Bible have authority over the Constitution? That gotcha question was put to Republican presidential candidate Ben Carson on NBC's Meet the Press Sunday. The retired neurosurgeon, however, didn't fall for the bait. I like what Gerald Celente calls the Meet the Prostitutes. I like that. NBC's Chuck Todd said it is a question from a Facebook poster by one Victor Rausch. Added that it's a simple question. Does the Bible have authority over the Constitution? That is not a simple question by any stretch of the imagination, Carson, retired neurosurgeon, reported. I think probably what you have to do is ask a very specific question about a specific passage of the Bible and a specific portion of the Constitution, Carson added. I don't think you can answer that question other than out of very specific contexts. Todd left the answer there, saying, "We'll see if Mr. Rausch liked that answer or not." About the Obama administration's Iran nuclear deal, Carson said, "It is perhaps the worst deal in the history of the United States." But yeah, you don't need to be a genius to know that. You're crazy when you're giving your enemies nuclear power. You know what I mean? And let's not paint a shade of gray here. Let's just call it what it is. When Khomeini, the guy that runs, the crazy people over there in Iran that want to kill us, they chant death to America and burn our flags, and they don't like us. And you want to give them nukes, and I mean, there's nothing fishy about that at all. Yeah, nothing at all. Todd also asked Carson what he expects from the voters' first Republican forum debate to be held Monday. Well, I hope that people will get an opportunity to see who I really am, not who other people have said that I am, Carson said, and I will have an opportunity to actually see what I think about a variety of subjects. You know, I have a tendency to be asked about medical things, and very seldom do I get asked about, you know, other types of political things that are important. More than a dozen Republican presidential candidates are expected to take part in the debate in Manchester, New Hampshire on Thursday. During the interview, Todd referred to Carson as the other non-politician who's been breaking through. He's not taking he's not taking money from special interests groups and big rich people. He's not. Like, there are very few people that are doing that. I think him and another guy on the Democratic side are the only two people who are running off of, you know, fundraisers and, you know, donations from people who aren't mega hardcore, you know, one percenters. You know what I mean? And that's noble. You know what I mean? The thing that I said about Donald Trump is that he doesn't say anything I particularly am against, really, but he's really rich. And that causes me concern, because whenever you get a really rich guy, you have to ask, why does that guy desire power for, to be president? He's already really rich. He could probably do a lot of things leverage-wise with his money that makes it kind of like, where's this guy's character, people? That's what we should vote with. The kind of perspective as to what you want to see, what qualities you want to see in a president. The conduct of their character is more important than how much money they have. Because if they're sellouts, then they'll get their money. They won't be running the country, but they'll be getting all of the, you know, funds for whatever it is that he has to go along and do. Democrats have taken over our country, you guys. So they're going to try to keep us down with political correct speech. Now is the time more than ever, with the presidential election coming up, to speak out and raise hard questions that people don't want to answer. This is one, for example, the defunding of Planned Parenthood. You know what I mean? Mitch McConnell being the only Republican, one of the only two Republicans that voted for it not being defunded. Well, there are Republicans, in my opinion, like the Bush family and the Clintons, not the Clintons, but the Bushes. Whatever, they're like the same people. They're probably all related to each other. I don't know, but it's crazy because they are wolves in sheep's clothing on the right. Remember, the people on the left try to demonize the right, and we know that is a bogus two-party system matrix that doesn't exist. The Democrats and the Republicans work in the same House, in the same Senate. It's, you know, I'm not going to fall for that two-party nonsense system, but it's because the Democrats want to stay in control, so they don't want the power to fall into someone else's hands, because then their agenda gets compromised. So why do you think with the scandals and everything, I got a cool sticker here, by the way. Why do you think with these scandals going on, you know what I'm saying? Why do you think with all this, you still have the mainstream media reporting and trumping Hillary Clinton? You know what I'm saying? Because, man, these are the people that they want to pass the power down to, either Jeb Bush or Hillary Clinton, because they'll keep the machine going. They'll keep the agenda rolling out. And like I'm saying, man, the Democrats have taken over our country, and these Democrats are low-key wackos, man. They are a bunch of eugenicist crazies, man. And anybody who's a Constitution lover, anybody who's a patriot of their country, anyone who's appreciative of being here, and I don't know if it's just me, but I notice a lot of guys like me who are first generation or got brought here when they were young, they seem to appreciate their liberty a lot here. You know what I mean? This is the last stand here, and we should defend our liberty. We should appreciate what we have here. We should speak up and vote with our dollar. We should. And with that, I say that you should back up guys like Ben Carson. I'm not trying to like report on him on purpose just to like, you know what I mean, to kind of hype him up or whatnot, but it's because he's coming out in the news. He's coming out making leaps and bounds for the in my opinion, for the nominee. I think you guys should pay attention to him instead of Trump. Trump, in my opinion, he's a little bit, I don't know, I have to raise a red flag on him. And like I said, look inside of a person, man. Look inside and see if that person has a price on them. Because remember that, your soul, your property, what you believe in, your faith, shouldn't have a price. It shouldn't have one. So I think it's a tremendous help. Carson said about his lack of political background. It's a tremendous aid because fewer people are talking about my lack of political experience now. And that's good because, experience can come from a variety of different places. And certainly the life that you have led, in my case, solving complex problems, being involved in corporate America, starting a national nonprofit, and you get an enormous amount of experience doing these things, particularly in solving problems. And, it's an erroneous thought that only political experience is expedient. Well, no, our president right now was a lawyer. You know what I mean? I think it's time for a doctor to be our president. I think it's time for Dr. Ben Carson. Since everyone wants to see a minority be a president, why not Dr. Ben Carson? If that's what's going to make you guys all happy, let's vote in the doctor. I don't care what color skin you are. I don't care what gender you are. If you have the right message and then I salute you. I will back you up. But if I see any type of compromise in you, if I see any little type of, I'm going to go along with the system the way that it is now, I don't know about you. We have so much radical change to start looking to right now as to what we're going to do with certain policies, how we're going to be using our taxpayer dollars, so many things. There's so many issues. Being president wouldn't be, hard if it wasn't about taking on all these issues, right? It's a very tremendously important job. And I think that the general public is straight tripping. If you guys are voting on people based on their popularity and their status in the culture, like, hey, I'm Barack Obama, I go golfing, I hang out with Johnny Depp. I don't care who you hang out with. I don't care what you do. You guys, the president now he follows like the progressive ideology of, I need to steer the culture. I need to show them the way. I need to be God and show them what is acceptable and what is not and what's trendy and what's not. This has been a failed structure of how we view the administrative state of the presidency for a long time. The president has such a weak office if he's so involved with all these things but not in making tough decisions where he's held accountable. The president can't even be held accountable because of all of the bureaucracy. You know what I mean? He's got so many people working for him and they're all like, well, don't look at me. This administration and our presidency, the way that we're running it, is so ineffective and unaccountable. It's been too long, and I think that we need to really start calling traitors what they are, traitors. We need to start calling people out and saying that either you come clean or you step down, or we have to steer this country in the right direction by informing people. When you see a person who says, I like Obama, I vote for Obama, I support Obama, you can tell a lot of things about that person. And it's a sad thing, man, because so many people are left in the dark and they try to look to the mainstream media for answers. And I know because when I was barely woken up, I saw that the mainstream media doesn't even touch on real issues. And you wonder why you don't even understand how politics works. You don't understand how free market economy, how the Constitution's interpreted, all these things that make our Constitution, that make what our country used to be so powerful, was by interpreting the Constitution right and being for the free market and not sending our jobs to other people. There's so many issues, though. You know what I mean? These things are not easy to really, pinpoint. Of course, if I was that guy, I would be running for president, right? But I'm not. I am just someone who could see a little more past all of the nonsense as to how they get the general public to continue to vote Democrat. And it's all under the dumb, bogus, benevolent, I'm compassionate logo. When we know that the Democrats and the left have always used minority groups to exploit them and get their own agenda across, when they're nothing but eugenicist trash that go around intimidating people with their minority or their majority tyranny, with their bullying tactics and their intimidation. And you guys need to stop giving into the political correctness. Don't let people intimidate you. Don't let people think that they could put their hands on you just because of what you believe. Your property is your what you believe, your faith, your convictions. All of that is your property, and nobody can take that away from you. We have unalienable rights that are given to us by God, and we cannot just bow down to these traitors and to these tyrants. We must call them out. Now that the iron's hard, we must strike, you guys. So God bless.